The Yitra's appetite keeps growing. Keisha is starting to find that their desire is hard to maintain. Keisha is being paid hand over fist and cash by the Yitra, and she feels she owes them the world. In addition, Keisha is beginning to feel a physical attraction to the Yitra women that she cannot understand. In her previous profession as an escort and a groupie, it is common for women to engage in sexual relations with each other. Now she is starting to feel that her sexual relations with them will fully legitimize her. In the past, she had always wanted a white girlfriend or boyfriend. Her feelings and yearn for a white counterpart has dissipated. Now she fantasizes and dreams of a Yitra. She wants to admit her feelings to Quinver, but has no idea of how to express them. Keisha tries to remain focused on her productivity and the procurement of black men. James is bringing her 6 niggas a day, 3 in the morning and 3 in the afternoon. James is getting $2,000 to $8,000 a head, depending on quality. James makes it a point to pick out easily forgotten young black men. James brings her homeless men, upstart drug dealers, low-level thieves, drunken black men, basically whatever he can get. He brings them into Keisha's new mansion. Slim helps to protect the mansion. He does most of the processing with James and gathers the men in a dungeon that they hold in the basement. James brings 2 black men with him this time. A young drug dealer that distributes the new loud strain of weed, and another black man who is considered slow. Slim meets James eagerly at the door.
This all you got?
James agrees with his head answering,
Yes.
Shit, these niggas look like they ain't worth nothing.
Slim says as he proceeds to grab the black men out of the car, aggressively.
Don't you niggas give me any trouble, or else I'll give out some proper ass whoopings.
Slim then smacks the young drug dealer hard on the back of his head. So the young, upset drug dealer lashes out. Nigga, what's wrong with you? Slim responds.
I told you not to give me any trouble, didn't I, nigga? I gave you proper warning.
Slim throws the boy inside the house on the floor, then grabs the belt off his waist and starts whipping the young drug dealer repeatedly. Slim keeps goading.
I'm gonna teach you some manners, young nigga.
Keisha then comes downstairs.
What is all this noise?
Slim looks up at her and explains.
I'm just showing this young nigga what the deal is. Oh yeah, you promised to buy me a whip so I can handle these niggas easier.
Slim pulls up the young drug dealer, who is in tears. Keisha notices James and approaches him importantly. Keisha tells James that the Yitras need James to bring in more black men, and that they'd be willing to pay James money to bring in some additional police officers to assist him. James smiles.
I got some people in mind that could be useful for this sort of thing.
He says greedily. Quinver pulls up to the mansion and walks in gleeful and happy. She is there for her morning fix, and James is awestruck when he sees her. James has been delivering bodies for a while now, but he has never seen the actual things that the Yitras did to the black men. James wants Quinver to be his. Her style is impeccable, and she is gorgeous. She seems to command a significant amount of power. James' craving for Keisha has lessened, and now he wants a Yitra for himself. James gets back to the station. He is primed and inspired to do something influential to gain Quinver's attention. James has not seen Julius in a couple of weeks, as Julius dodges him all the time. And the feeling is mutual in James' mind. Over at the water cooler, he sees Officers Piney and Cardone. Officers Piney and Cardone do not have too much respect for James. James is always trying to buddy up to them and talk about sports and other non-consequential items. They will laugh along with him, particularly in the jokes that James uses that disparage other blacks. James decides that he needs to speak to the officers by themselves directly.
Hey, fellas, I'd like to buy you guys a drink. Would you care to join me?
As long as you're paying,
said Officer Cardone. James arrives at the bar with two white officers. Both of them have a record of police brutality against minorities, but they are always able to skate around punishment. They are skillful liars and had become smart on covering their tracks. Their skills are going to be what he is going to need. James contemplates to himself. He ordered a round of drinks for himself and the other officers. James has a taste for Hennessy, but he is sipping scotch with the other two officers. They are watching ESPN and discussing and arguing over football and their NFL fantasy teams. After getting them loose with alcohol, James asked them if they will like to make some real money. The white officers look at each other sternly. Both are apprehensive. Cardone grabs James by the collar and pats his chest down to see if he is wearing a wire.
you better not be working with internal affairs.
James laughs.
Calm down, guys. I'm just gonna show you how I roll. Follow me.
James has the cops follow him to a local Section 8 area in the city. James spots some seasoned black males on the corner. They all have prior rap sheets, and they are members of the Livingston crew. James pulls out his phone and dials Ray Johnson.
Yo, man, I need some new meat, player. What you got for me?
Ray is happy that James called.
Yeah, I need you to take care of one of my lieutenants. Jamal's arrogant ass. He getting too big for his britches. The word is the kid plotting to be the new king, and we can't have that,
says Ray. James was introduced to Jamal by Ray. James has a connection with Ray based on the deal he has with the police. Ray is a sloppy, extravagant drug dealer and has gotten caught making a massive drug deal with the police. The police do not view Ray as being a genuine threat and agreed to allow him to keep his freedom if he helps facilitate future arrest and gives private testimony on Rod Livingston, a drug dealer that is flipping his illegal money with legitimate businesses. Ray is happy to provide the evidence on Rod Livingston and views him as being somewhat uppity. James linked with Ray based on Ray's plea deal. James' cover is to pretend that he is working for another territory in the drug game and has addressed Jamal. His name and identity is Tony the Hustler. James was removed from cover by the police force for being unproductive. Of course, the reason he is unproductive is because he is already working with Ray Johnson, receiving kickbacks, and only delivers low-level targets. Even though James is reassigned off of Ray, James keeps in contact, of course, as Ray is assisting James in meeting this quota of procurement of niggas. Ray is a primary informant, providing James details on anyone that is a threat or an obstacle in the acquisition of territory and power in the drug game. James knows that because of the activities that these dealers have involvement in, investigations concerning their disappearance and whereabouts will be minimal. James tells the officers to come into his car. The officers are anxious.
What you got up your sleeve, James?
James smiles.
We need to pick up the product first, then we can get paid. I got some real good bait to lure the product.
James shows the officers a bag of crack and cocaine he has in his possession. James pulls out his phone.
Yo, Jamal, this Tony, man. These niggas out here bragging that they got your shit, man. They're telling everybody that they got the drop on your ass.
Jamal and his crew are conducting their daily business as they receive the call.
Alright, player, we gonna come through and handle those niggas. Just make sure they don't go anywhere.
James smiles.
Don't worry, I got all eyes on these niggas.
He looks at Piney and Cardone.
Just wait. Shouldn't take too long.
James sits back, thinking about his payday and what he will be able to buy with it. After contemplation, he decides he has to get the new Jordans, and hopefully he will have enough to buy Quinver some jewelry. Jamal and his crew pull up in a black Suburban. They ease around the corner and sit in the car, seeming to size up the Livingston crew. Within an instant, they start firing at the Livingston gang across the street. The Livingston crew is surprised, and they attempt to pull out their guns, but it is to no avail. Multiple members of the Livingston crew are killed without returning fire. The other officers of the Livingston gang pour out of the projects fast in retaliation, shooting back. Jamal and the black Suburban speed off. James and the other cops follow the black Suburban and watch the group return to the projects to rejoice at their efforts in dispatching members of the Livingston crew. James and the other cops sit outside a while in their cars. Jamal and his crew are rolling blunts and smoking the loud brand of weed. Jamal is feeling good about what he does and is visualizing an eventual takeover of Ray Ray's drug territory. After 20 minutes, James and the cops pull up their cars and spot at Jamal's spot. They get out with their guns out and burst into Jamal's house.
On the ground! Get your ass on the ground now!
Yells James and the other cops. James and his fellow officers proceeded to arrest Jamal and his crew. Jamal is upset when he finds that James is undercover.
You a punk ass bitch, Tony? I got something for your ass, nigga.
James laughs.
Nigga, you cuffed up. You ain't got shit for me. And my name is James, motherfucker.
James then escorts Jamal to the back of the squad car. He is gleeful at the prospect of outmaneuvering Jamal and the other members of the Livingston crew. He finds their attempts to set up real businesses in their neighborhoods to be ridiculous. They are just drug dealers, and they should just stay in their lane. James and the officers arrive at Keisha's mansion with Jamal and his crew. James pulls Jamal out of the squad car. Jamal looks around at the area.
This ain't no police station. Where the fuck you got us?
Demands Jamal. James walks Jamal to the door.
Trust me, and you're gonna like this place better than a police station.
Slim then comes out the door.
You got 7 niggas. This time, I see you trying to get paid, my nigga.
Slim then hands James the designated envelopes. James collects $50,000 and hands the other officers 25 grand. The officers are shocked.
Damn, we getting all of this for just turning over some thugs?
James smiles and laughs.
Yeah, I'll see you at the station so we can go over the paperwork.
Cardone and Piney left. Slim escorts Jamal and his crew inside while James follows. Keisha spots James following and snaps.
We gave you the money already. Get your dumb ass out of here. We don't need you here anymore.
Quinver notices James.
Now, no need to be mean. I think it would be all right if he stays here for a while.
Quinver is on the couch with Keisha. Keisha changes her mood quickly, laughing hard and blushing, while Quinver spots Jamal being taken downstairs by Slim.
Oh, I like him. I think I'm going to get me a taste.
Quinver readjusts her makeup. Quinn creeps downstairs and peeks into the cell of Jamal.
I want him.
Quinn points. Slim gathers his keys and goes to the cell and unlocks it.
You want me to cuff him?
Asks Slim. James creeps downstairs and peeks and looks down upon Quinver. Quinver notices James watching, then responds to Slim's question regarding whether she prefers Jamal in cuffs or not. Quinn shakes her head.
No, I enjoy the struggle.
She says wickedly. Slim then lets Jamal out of the cell. Jamal walks out to see Quinver. She is stunning. He looks up and down at her but is in a state of bewilderment and confusion. Why the hell is he here? And why did they release him like this? To this elegant woman. He thinks that she is supposed to be dangerous. What the fuck is going on? Jamal's instincts kick in. The word run instantly pops into Jamal's mind. Jamal tries to sprint and run straight through Quinver to get up the stairs. Quinn grabs him with both her arms.
Oh, you're feisty. I like that.
As Jamal tries to move, but is unable.
What the fuck?
Jamal tries to swing, but Quinver is ready for it and grabs his hand in midair and then pulls him into the back room, dragging him by his feet and closes the door. James quickly walks behind to peek in the window where Jamal is held. Slim spots James and laughs.
Oh, you've never seen him in action when their real face is shown. Trust me, you're gonna enjoy the show,
says Slim. James watches intently and is in awe of what is transpiring in front of him. Jamal is in shock at Quinver's strength and cannot understand how this woman has such strength. Jamal keeps struggling against Quinver. In the room, Jamal sees all kinds of weird contraptions. Some chains hang from the ceiling, ball gags, and a variety of whips, cock rings, ticklers, and nipple clenchers. Jamal is unsure of what Quinver has in mind, but judging by what is in the room, Jamal feels it is going to be freaky. Quinn proceeds to chain Jamal forcibly, lifting his hands above his head and attaching him to the chains. Quinver then grabs him by the shirt and strips it right off of him. Quinn then grabs Jamal in his groin area.
I think this will grow nicely.
Quinn holds on to his crotch as she transforms. Her body glows magnificently with blue and red skin, and her eyes have white pupils, and her hair is bright red. She is a splendid and frightful sight. Her body is perfection, yet aggressively toned. Her breast is high and firm. James cannot believe what he is seeing. Quinver is different than anything he has ever known before. James is curious about all the tools in the room and is unsure about Quinver's true intentions. There are candles lit all around the chamber. Quinn proceeds to grab the candles that are lit for a while. She pours the first candle cup over his shoulder. Jamal shudders and grits his teeth. He tries his best not to scream out. Quinn chuckles.
Oh, you're trying to keep it in. How cute.
Quinn holds 2 candle cups in front of him. James is enjoying the encounter. He is watching and finds himself participate. James feels fear towards Quinver, yet he feels an absolute lust for her and the will to do her every bidding. Quinver can see the fear flowing through Jamal's eyes. Quinn pours both candles over his chest.
You fucking bitch,
says Jamal. The wax hardens upon Jamal's chest. Quinn then places her hand on Jamal's chest and starts extracting some of his melanin. James watches and can perceive the elevation in her mood. James notices Quinver's hard nipples, and it is plain to see that Quinver is in a state of arousal. Jamal's erection grows to attention. Quinver pours 6 more cups over his body, his back, buttocks, and even Jamal's penis. The wax hardens completely on his body. Jamal cries out from the pain. Quinn takes the whip that is hanging by the door Quinn then cracks the whip in front of Jamal 5 times, causing apprehension in Jamal's mind. The fear and confusion that Quinver can perceive on Jamal's face are alluring to her. Quinver whips Jamal over and lashes all over Jamal's body. James enjoys what he is watching. Jamal carries himself in a high masculine manner, and here he is being emasculated by this superior being. James finds pleasure in watching Jamal's humiliation and finds himself growing hard inside his pants. James wants to take Jamal's place in being sexually dominated. James finds himself becoming jealous at the attention Jamal is receiving from the superior being. He envisions himself opening the door and removing Jamal out of the way to take his position. James knows he will be out of line if he does so, and being in his post, it is important that the Yeetra are aware that he knows his place in their world. Quinn enjoys stretching the whip to its full utmost point and then letting it rip all over Jamal's body. Quinn lashes Jamal on the chest, scarring his flesh. Jamal feels as if he is being cut open, stripping of all his dignity from his body and soul. The horror of shame seemed to stream all the way through his body and mind. Quinver continues to whip Jamal on his legs. He moves to Jamal's back and beats him all over, creating lashes. Quinn moves lower and whips Jamal on his buttocks repeatedly. Jamal's flinching gives Quinver great excitement. Quinver is in a frenzy. Quinver is enjoying the breaking of Jamal and feels joy from James watching her brilliance and magnificence. Jamal is losing his will. Quinver places the whip back on the wall. Jamal is losing his strength to stand. His body drenches with blood and whip marks. Quinn pulls out a choke chain that is usually in use for a dog. Quinver slides the choke chain around Jamal's neck and ties it tightly, just enough to see Jamal's eyes buck slightly. Quinn chains Jamal's feet to the ground and removes the chains from his hands. Quinn then bends over and spreads herself for him.
Insert.
Quinn commands. Quinn then pulls the choke chain that was over her shoulder very hard. Jamal chokes and grabs at the choke chain.
Insert.
Jamal is still rock hard from the melanin that Quinn had already taken from her. Jamal grabs Quinn by the waist and thrusts his penis deep and hard inside Quinn. Jamal rammed his body back and forth inside Quinn repetitively and is doing it hard and fast. Jamal outstretches his muscular arms and grabs Quinn's buttocks and continues to slam his penis inside of Quinn. James jealously is at his peak. James wishes it was him that was dicking down Quinver's ass. James wants any avenue to fuck Quinver, even from a position of weakness. James can see the moisture spreading on Jamal's penis from Quinver's vagina. That should be my dick in that pussy, is what he thinks. Should be mine, James says silently to himself. He clenches his hands on the door, hardly able to contain himself. Quinver is watching James' face through the window. He can see the first for her vagina is written all over his face. At this moment, Quinver realizes that she is now dominating 2 men at once. Quinver views James as a cuckold. He is more than a voyeur now. She can feel his jealousy. James' covetousness is oozing through the window. Quinver holds onto its leg and extracting melanin while entering a higher state of arousal, and is experiencing an orgasm on top of Jamal's penis. And she is watching James' face as she has repeated orgasms. Jamal is ejaculating all inside of Quinver. Jamal shakes, and the muscles in his legs and arms are clenching as he is coming inside of her. The cream of Jamal's orgasm is spread all around the rim of Quinver's vagina and has spread onto his penis. Jamal tries to relax and gains his breath. His heart feels like it is going to explode out the side of his chest. Jamal's jet black dark skin is now yellow. His eyes are green and his hair is straight. James has always hated his dark skin and his coarse hair. The wonders that Jamal is experiencing is too much to bear for James. Jamal is getting everything James wants. Jamal is exhausted, but to his surprise, he magically becomes hard again, instantly inside of Quinver. Quinn pulls on the choke chain.
Again, fuck me.
Says Quinver. Jamal goes back at Quinver's backside. Jamal's blood was dripping all over Quinn's blue and red body. With every thrust from Jamal, his blood spurts all over Quinn's body. Jamal comes again. Jamal grabs Quinver by her neck and chokes her with all his might, flexing all his muscles his body will allow. The choke excites Quinver. Jamal is thrusting hard and is making Quinn come repetitively. Quinver lets out a loud scream of ecstasy, and Jamal stops abruptly. Quinver then pulls on the choke chain, but nothing is happening. Quinver turns around to see that the life from Jamal is gone. Quinver then pulls the choke chain as hard as she can and pops Jamal's head off his skull. Blood squirts everywhere. Quinver is upset at her greed. She feels that Jamal is a fun high worth preserving. James finally feels relief and is glad that Jamal will not be able to enjoy Quinver anymore, and feels satisfaction at the sight of Jamal's decapitated head. Quinver then picks up Jamal's face, relenting sadly at all the future lost sessions she could have had with Jamal. Quinn has broken Jamal.